So here's what we're covering today. This is Discover BNI. What is BNI? What is this strange thing that I keep hearing about? So we're going to cover today what it is. I'm going to talk a little bit about our core values right when we start. We're going to run through our attendees. We're going to hear from our special guests. I'm then going to quickly run through what exactly is BNI. And actually, interestingly enough, what is BNI online? Because in case you haven't noticed, we're in a pandemic and a lot of folks have had to get to using online opportunities, and BNI are right at the front of that. I want to talk a little bit about how we've done it and why it's amazing. We're going to break up into some breakout rooms. We've got an Auburn breakout room and a Albany breakout room. We're going to split down into some team sessions. We're going to come back at the end. I'm going to tell you how you can get involved, and then I'll hang around for any Q&A if anybody's got any questions. I've got a graphic on this page which is pointing out to you the mute button at the bottom of your screen and your sharing video button. Please unmute yourself when you're talking and keep yourself muted when you're not talking. Please put your video on when you can. There's the chat. Please put out your information into the chat bar, who you are, what you do, anything you'd like folks to know about you. Today, folks, you will have an opportunity to join BNI and lock out your competition. I do want you to know that because it starts today for those who want to get going. So who am I? Well, I am Bill Keane. I'm the Executive Director of BNI here in Central Alabama and Southwest Georgia. My email address is there on the screen. You're welcome to shoot an email at any point afterwards if you have any questions. I have been a BNI member for 10 years, and I joined BNI from the funeral business. And I won't go into any great detail about that because it's deathly dull, and it's killing me to talk about it. So we won't go into detail about that. But what I do want you to know is that it doesn't matter what you do. It's all about who you are. And success comes in many forms, even people from the funeral business. So fear not those who are in, interesting businesses. BNI is one of the most counterintuitive businesses I know of. It almost completely works in reverse to be successful. And the biggest and greatest of that is givers gain. Our model is about giving first and not worrying quite so much about receiving, because our model brings that back to us. The more we give, the more we receive. Karma, if you like. What a wonderful way to do business, if only it were true. Well, we're here today to find out just what that's all about and how true it can be. So I'll have a quick look at who's on the call today. I've seen Andrew. Is CJ Norman joined us today?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool, fantastic. Felix, did you make it onto the call today? Holly? Callie? I need Callie.
Here.
Oh, Callie's here. Oh, phew. I need you. No sign of Holly yet. Hopefully she'll join us later. I know Kathy's on the call. I know Kim is on the call. Leslie's on the call. Mark's on the call. Richmond's on the call. Wanda's on the call. Cool. If you're not on this list, please tell us now who you are. We'd like to know. Okay. Very good. Feel free to put your information in the chat box as well. Well, we've got a guest here, a guy called Dylan Williams. Dylan is the area director of Southwest Georgia. He's part of my BNI team, and he has a fabulous BNI story that I've twisted his arm to come onto this call today and share with us. So Dylan, please take it away.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Bill, for allowing me to jump on and share. Thank you all for joining us today. So my name is Dylan Williams. I am a CPA, certified public accountant, originally from Ohio. Moved down to Georgia here about just shy of 7 years ago. When I was in Ohio, started my business in 2012 full-time. So I've done a lot of accounting consulting and working kind of more consulting jobs. And 2012 decided to hang up a shingle and launch full-time for myself. And right about that time, a friend of mine introduced me to BNI up in Ohio. I said, what the heck? What do I have to lose? I went to a meeting and I drank the Kool-Aid from day one. I mean, I saw the value that there could be for my business in BNI. And so I signed up on the spot. Well, that was I guess that was about 9 years ago now. Spent about 2 years in that chapter in Ohio, moved down to Georgia. First 2.5 years here in Georgia, there was nothing going in terms of BNI. I'd reached out to at that time, the executive director, and never got a response. Eventually reached out to national and was told that this gentleman named Bill Keene had just taken over the region and that he would be in touch with me. Had a great conversation with Bill. BNI had literally in 2 years built my business for me. It was probably 80% of my revenue, 70 to 80% at that time. And so I told Bill, I said, I want to start a BNI chapter here in Thomasville, Georgia, in 15 minutes north of the Florida border. And Bill's response was, Thomasville, that's a long way away. And I said, well, I want to build the chapter. Will you help me do it? And so he said, well, let's meet. He came down for lunch. I was able to put together 7 or 8 people. I had lunch at Longhorns. He laid it out. And so it was about a 6 to 8 month process to really get the wheels churning and get the people to commit and say, yes, we're going to do this. And so Bill was at, I guess, 2017, right? So we've been official now for about 3 years. We've passed a lot of business. We've got 21 members in the chapter right now. For me, it's like I said, BNI has built my business. I saw the value from the start that if I would put into it my full effort, that I would get out of it some great return. And it's been amazing. If anybody wants to talk numbers specifically, I mean, you can do that with me offline. I don't tend to do that in group settings, but it's just been phenomenal. I think one of the biggest things is the quality of the clients that I get from BNI referrals surpasses the quality of clients I get from pretty much any other referral source or lead source. These people are coming to me as clients in some sense, having already been vetted by the people in BNI, by my fellow members in BNI, and them knowing what I'm looking for. They're feeding me clients that fit right along those lines. And so I love BNI. It's been incredible for my business. We're seeing an incredible growth here in Southwest Georgia. We've got the Thomasville chapter. We've got 2 chapters in Valdosta. We're working, of course, on the Tifton and Moultrie, Albany, some different chapters in this area. And it's all been good. It's hard work, some challenges, but I wouldn't do it any other way. It's been phenomenal for my business. So in a nutshell, that's kind of my testimonial.
Fantastic. Don, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you not wanting to talk about revenues, but it's been good, has it?
Very good.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the call. We do actually also have a special guest today, and I want to introduce my friend and coach, Mr. Tom Fleming. Look, there he is. He hasn't changed at all in the years since that picture was taken. Tom, would you like to kind of spend a couple of minutes talking with the group as well?
Sure. I'm just sporting my COVID beard here, Bill. When all this is over, it will disappear. Good to be with you all. I've been a BNI member since 1996, believe it or not. And I guess the question that we're all asking today is why BNI? And as Dylan mentioned, there is power in a referral. When someone that you have a relationship with tells someone in their network that you're the best, your product or service is the best, and they need to do business with you, you're basically attracting clients that have already been sold versus, other means that you're promoting your business with. Contrast the power of a referral with the clients you pick up through advertising or cold calling or direct mail or social media. There's a difference. Who does BNI work for? Let me tell you this, BNI is not a vending machine. You don't put your application in in the machine and hit D4 and outspits $100,000 referral. It just doesn't work that way. BNI is all about building relationships with your fellow referral partners. And BNI will help you do that. As Bill mentioned right up front, BNI is about giving within the philosophy of givers gain. When you give to someone else, you're letting them know that you're on their team. And subsequently, what you're doing is you're inviting them to be on your team. So in BNI, we're actually looking for players, not spectators. But let me explain this a little bit. You know, in professional sports, you've got the professional athletes that are on the court, on the field. They're exerting energy. They're engaged. There's teamwork going on. Those guys, they're making millions of dollars per year. The spectators, they're in the stands. They paid $250, $500, $1,000 for a ticket. They're spending $8 on a hot dog, you know, $15 on a beer. Granted, it's probably a big beer. But the point is that the players are making the money and the spectators are spending the money. So BNI is pretty much like everything else in life. You get out of it what you put into it. Now, within the framework of starting a new BNI chapter, it's been my experience that your focus at this point is building your foundation, a big foundation, a strong foundation. How you do that is you invite potential long-term referral partners from your network over the coming weeks to learn about what you're involving yourself with and inspiring them to join you. Specifically, you want to aggressively approach this task as you want to create momentum through leverage to get a fast start as time is money. Now, Dylan mentioned that it took his group quite a few months to get going. Most of the groups that I work with and trying to get up and rolling, we're doing that in a 2 to 3 month period. And it's because the focus is on creating momentum, okay, which generates leverage. Because if you invite 2 or 3 people, and then they can immediately in turn turn around and invite 2 or 3 people, and so on and so forth, you're off and running. My last point is invite up. Invite people who are as successful or more successful than you are. Why? They appreciate the value of a system like BNI because they've tried the whole concept of advertising, cold calling, direct mail. They're also extremely influential in the community. So when they say to someone in their network to do business with you, that person will. Lastly, successful people hang around other successful people. You want the highest caliber of people in your BNI chapter. Why? Well, it said where you're going to be in 5 years is dictated by the quality of people that you hang around and the books you read, or the quality of the education that you put in your head. BNI is a success system. It's a recipe. It's just like baking a cake. If you follow the recipe, you'll get the results. Bill, thanks so much for having me today. And I do hope a couple of these insights will help clarify, if you're visiting with us today, whether you have an interest in stepping up or stepping out of this fantastic opportunity. Oh, Bill, before I go, I'm not afraid to talk money. The average member in our area, average member, generates more than $75,000 per year in sales or incremental commissions as a result of their participation in BNI. And that's the average. Your first year, don't expect to do that. Where this system pays off, okay, is when you get engaged and you build deep relationships over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Good luck to you all. Thanks again, Bill. Bye-bye.
Fantastic, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your insights. So, Tom's region down in Tampa was a highly successful one with many very large chapters, and I'm not surprised at the revenue figures that mentioning. I was told year 4 was the best year. Things really got going in year 4, and that was about right. So thanks again, Tom. I hope you can stick around and join us for the rest of the meeting. So what is this BNI? All this talk about stuff. Let's see what's it all about. BNI is a 36-year-old company now, founded back in 1985 by this man, Dr. Ivan Meisner. He was a strategic management consultant out of Menlo Park, California. And he found in the 80s, like a lot of us did, if you remember the 80s, I bet you all don't actually. I know I do. I bet Tom does. There was a recession. It was tough. And Ivan needed more business, and he needed it now, and he hit the ground networking. Problem was, he found a couple of challenges. The first thing he came across is that everywhere he turned, he bumped into the competition. Now, the competition, we need competition. Competition's very good. But I'm going to let you know, folks, that competition doesn't always have our best interests at heart. In fact, I'm going to exclusively reveal to you now, some of them are trying to steal your customers. I know, shocking, but it's true. So competition was not helping him develop those relationships he needed. The other thing he got frustrated about was the lack of commitment. Everybody was networking, talking about the vacation, the kids, the school, the this, the that. Nobody was getting on with it. And he needed to act quickly. So he decided to set up his own networking group. He called it The Network, which I love that name. It's quite descriptive. And he set it up trying to fix these two issues. He made it category exclusive. There was only ever going to be one of any category in this group. One real estate agent, one life insurance, one HVAC, one landscaper. Kept the competition out of the room and allowed the members to start really developing those strong long-term relationships without fear of, leakage or the kind of challenges we get with the information we want to keep to our close colleagues without the competition finding out. He also made it highly structured. The whole goal here was in, out, do what you need to do, pass your referrals, and get on with the next thing because it was urgent. And BNI still to this day is one of the very, very few organizations that is highly focused on business. We're not afraid to say we're here to make money. We're not here for chit chat. Having said that, of course, we have lots of social events too, but you know what? They're not in the meetings. So this thing grew. Those numbers are actually a bit out of date. We went through 10,000 chapters last month. Amazing growth. 250,000 members around the world, passing over $16 billion in closed business to each other. That's not BNI's revenue. That's our members' revenue. It's an incredible success story. So what's it all about? Your business grows through the development of relationships. BNI is like having your own marketing team. We don't sell to each other. We educate each other on what it is that we're looking for. We're going out there advocating for each other, helping each other build businesses. I'm not going to be your salesman, but I'm going to tell you what I want, and that's going to help you give me a referral. We educate each other almost as if it's our sales team. I mentioned exclusive marketing rights already. That's huge. That is huge because locking the competition out gives you a free run at developing these strong local relationships. And you know what? You put this stuff together, you get a continuous source of new business. It's starting slowly at first, but like a rolling stone, that thing gathers and gathers and gathers. We've got BNI members in Birmingham, where I live, that have been in BNI for over 20 years. Several members of Trustville BNI don't do anything else apart from get their BNI referrals. It's enough money they're generating for their business. It's incredible. This grows over time, that residual income. How do we do it? It's through those relationships. We're not all best friends immediately. We're not going to get married on the first date. It takes time to get to know each other. We start with that know, but knowing somebody isn't enough. You've got to get to like. I'm not going to do business with you if I don't like you. I'll cross the state if I don't like you to find your competitor. But like isn't enough either. You need to get to trust. Trust is where the magic happens. Trust is where we can start to get strategic. It's where we can start to build those relationships, open up our books. I saw some customers last week I'd like to get in front of you, vice versa. It takes time, but it happens. BNI is not just one-dimensionally about this stuff, though. There's other tools as well. BNI University. It's worth the price of admission alone, the amount of material that is available to you as a BNI member through this amazing resource. We have BNI podcasts. Ivan's done over 600 podcasts. They're free to the general public. Just go to bnipodcast.com and look a few up. You'll see what I'm talking about. Other folks do podcasts too. I bet Tom does podcasts. Wouldn't surprise me. But I do a lot of local trainings as well for the Montgomery, Auburn, Albany, Valdosta, Southwest Georgia region. We've got a huge amount of information, all designed to give you the tools to be successful. You wouldn't buy a car if you couldn't drive. You wouldn't buy a handgun if you didn't know how to shoot. Well, actually, maybe you would do that. It's Alabama after all. But we give you the tools so that you know how to drive this vehicle, this BNI vehicle that you're investing in. Recently, we've moved online. We didn't ask to do this. It wasn't something we strategically planned. We had something happen. I think it was last March, a little bit of local difficulty. And as a result, business and networking ground to a halt, but not in BNI. We launched within 2 weeks BNI Online, which has been constantly refined and developed. And even now, our chapters are still all meeting online. And here's the crazy thing. They're thriving. They're doing incredibly well with BNI Online because it has had some secret advantages, which we didn't appreciate at the time. Now, most of our chapters are going back to face-to-face, and our startup chapters are going to get a choice. Do you want to be an online chapter, or do you want to be a face-to-face chapter? That's something that we sought out pretty early in the growth process. What happened locally? Well, look, here's my numbers. We didn't even pass $4 million in 2019 between all of our members. Pandemic hits in March, and we still keep growing. We broke records. We passed $5.6 million in revenue between our members in just 8 chapters locally. Really successful. I don't know what would have happened if that pandemic hadn't have hit. Our average seat value locally, I mean, Tom's is 75,000. That's an incredible success story. We're aspiring to that. We currently sit at 28 grand, and that's, of course, because of the pandemic, a lot of it. The average return per member in my BNI region is actually about the price of admission. So you get your money back every single week with BNI. Columbus, the average seat value for those who are looking at a comparative city, again, it's about the average 28,000. I think we're short on time, but here's some numbers. These are all the different chapters and how much revenue they're driving. It's all good stuff. If you want to look at more of that, I'll happily let you know. So what is the process? How are we building our BNI chapters? I wish they just started fully formed, but they don't. You have to start with key people who are committed to this process and grow from there. And Tom mentioned some really huge things about this, about being networked, about being connected. So we start, our initial goal is to get a group of 8 people together. And we do that through our Discover BNI meeting. You can just bring people to this meeting, have a look, and they'll get to decide if this is something they want to do or not. 8 is a key goal for us because at 8, you promote yourselves into your own group. As soon as we hit 8 applications, we split off from Discover BNI and we start having weekly meetings where we're growing our group directly locally with local people. We want to get to 16 as soon as we can. That's our next stage. From 16, we're into our last phase, our momentum phase. Our goal to launch a chapter is 24 people. But at 16, we're doing things like picking the name, picking the leadership team, getting a lot of things taken care of. And we're starting to look a little bit more like a BNI chapter as our members are learning how to pass referrals to each other effectively. Hit 24, that's the magic number, the trumpet sound at that point. we go into closed session training as we learn how to be a new chapter. We've got a whole bunch of folks who don't really know what BNI is all about, but we're really excited. We have a 6-week, this is a bespoke program. I don't know many other regions who do this, where we train you specifically in how to be successful. Visitors aren't invited. We're going to hang on to those visitors and we're going to bring them to our launch event. We did it. We're celebrating our launch, and we have a whole bunch of folks come and join us. You bring your friends, your supporters, your work colleagues, and you bring people who might want to join. Many of our guests, many chapter members join at the launch event. But wait, there's more. We don't stop there. We're continuing to grow. We have a year 1 growth strategy for our chapters where we're, again, filling in the gaps, helping that education piece, making sure everyone's supported fully, and we deepen our relationships. That's how we start new chapters. There's a lot more behind this, but that's something, of course, we can get into the weeds with as we start our chapters. You're here today because you're interested in possibly getting started with BNI. And there's a very strong chance that somebody who actually really respects you has invited you along here today, because you've heard it said that, and Tom mentioned it, recruit up. You want people to join your chapter who are outstanding and better than you. So it is a real wonderful thing to be invited to one of these meetings. I want you to think about who you know, who you could invite up. We are starting with 2 groups today, a group out of Auburn, Alabama, and a group out of Albany, Georgia, starting this journey that begins with a single step, and today is that step, possibly. So we have some team sessions now. We're going to break out into the Auburn group and into our Albany group. There's going to be a chance for you to introduce yourselves to each other so you know who's here from each of our areas. The group leaders will take you through some simple slides, but the goal is absolutely to see who's up for this, who's interested, who wants to use BNI as a vehicle to drive revenues to your business, because this is not for everybody. I do hope it's for you. Now, this is the fun bit where I get to see if I can get these breakout rooms started. So you will see come up on your screen an invitation to join one or other of the breakout rooms. If you are in the wrong breakout room because I got it wrong, which is possible, please leave the room and come back and we'll get you in the right one. We're going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes in our breakout rooms. Sasha will be leading our group for Auburn, and Julian and Paula, if you wouldn't mind joining Julian, will be working with our Albany group. And I see that Lou has arrived as well. So Lou, I'm going to put you in with Sasha with our Auburn group. So I'm going to open these rooms, have fun, and I will see you all in about 10 to 15 minutes. Welcome back. I hope that was valuable. I hope you made some good connections. Hopefully you had a chance to introduce yourselves to each other, and hopefully starting this process of building up chapters. Everybody's at a different stage of understanding of BNI. This meeting today is not intended particularly to give you everything you need to know, but hopefully enough to help you make a decision. I want to talk very briefly before we go about the cost and the real cost. So what is BNI all about? You've heard some big numbers flown around. Here's what it costs to join BNI in Central Alabama and Southwest Georgia. There's a one-off joining fee of $199, and there are annual dues which are currently $499. They're likely to be going up in the next couple of years. It kind of inflation adjusted. So it costs $698 to join BNI. That gets you 12 months membership, access to all of the materials we have, and the opportunity, critically, to develop your business with key players. But that's not the real cost. Not at all. I mean, for a business, that's peanuts if the revenues are there to support it. The real cost, folks, is your time. I estimate it takes between 3 and 5 hours a week to be effective and engaged in your BNI chapter. 1.5 hours in a chapter meeting, couple of hours doing one-to-ones, maybe half an hour working on referrals. The point is, guys, you should be doing this stuff anyway. If you're serious about networking and developing relationships within networking, that's the amount of time you should be investing. This is going to come back and drive revenues to your business. I mean, a key question for this is how many referrals would it take for you to get your money back? For many people, the answer is one. One good referral out of this will cover all those costs. And like I've already explained, our average member in a pandemic is picking up that every single week. Some do more, some do less. So I want you to think about some questions as you look at the BNI opportunity. Is this a good fit for your business? It's not a good fit for everybody. You need to be in growth mode. You need to be wanting to grow your business. And you need to be the kind of business that thrives on referrals. If you're not a referral-based business, like Walmart does not join BNI, there's no point. Refer your sister to buy a pair of jeans at Walmart, they don't care. But if you're in growth mode, this is key for you. If you're not growing, if your business is fine and you don't want any more business, probably not a good fit. Do you have or do you want to develop a long-term business building strategy? BNI can help you with that. BNI can we found, for example, we've got members, and I'm thinking of a guy called Jim Lennon, who I think some of you know. He is a technophobe construction engineer, but he has found that the structure of BNI has actually helped him structure himself and his timekeeping and his business. BNI can be value added in all kinds of different ways. And here's the big question. Can I commit? Can I commit to doing this? Can I commit to doing what it takes to build a BNI chapter and make not just myself, but everybody else in my group successful? That is the question. What are our next steps? Well, you need to create an action plan. Make sure that you've got the connections and the information with the people who were in your breakout room. You're going to want to reach out to them. And I'll be distributing that information anyway later on. But create a plan. Who do you want in your team? Please remember, success is all about who you are, not what you do. There is no such thing as a magic profession that gathers lots of referrals. It is you, your quality, and as an individual that makes you successful. And that's not a BNI thing. That's a life thing. Because it's not about anything other than your relationship. The ability to drive and create relationships is the key to success in BNI. You cannot have a relationship with a company. You can have a relationship with a person. Where do your strongest relationships lie? Who would you like to have in your networking group? And finally, make a commitment. Firstly, put in your own BNI application. I'm not sure if we covered that in the breakout room, so I'll certainly, after the meeting's finished, be around to help get that done. Put in your own BNI application, lock out your competition. From this point forwards, Auburn and Albany are open for business, and anybody can come and steal that seat from you. You want to make sure that application's in and you're locked in. Visit a BNI chapter. Go and visit some of these other chapters, see what it's all about, see what the Zoom thing's all about. And finally, start building your team. Okay, so how to apply? Try to make this nice and easy. There's a QR code on there. Unless you're on your phone for the call, you can pick your phone up, go to camera mode, and just hover the camera in front of the QR code. That will take you straight to the application form. You can fill it out from there. You just need to select 1 or 2 years membership. The category you want to join under, that can be adjusted as we go. The sponsor's the person that invited you today. But there, go to that QR code. It'll take you to that page that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the Apply Pay page. There's a little picture there called Online Application. Hit that button, start filling out your application. My email address, I had it at the very beginning, so let's go all the way back and put it up again, so that you can reach out to me if you have further questions. bill@bnicalswga.com. It's horrible, but it stands for Central Alabama, Southwest Georgia. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our very first Discover BNI meeting. We're going to be holding another one on March the 17th. Same process. You'll be registering through our website, and then we'll send you the link the day of the meeting. There's a lot of folks who were interested who aren't here, and we're going to be including Dothan, Alabama, Tifton, Georgia, and groups out of Montgomery, Alabama next week as well. We could have a big meeting with 5 or more breakout rooms. Traction is happening, BNI is growing, because what other options do we have in a pandemic? And what's amazing of all is BNI Online has ended up being incredibly profitable for our members. So that's all I have, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I've tried to stick to an hour. We're about right. If you have to go, of course, I quite understand. But I'm going to be hanging around a little bit for some open networking to handle any questions that you may have. Quick look in the chat bar. I love the way it flashes orange so I can tell what's going on. That's from Julian. Very good. So let's turn this slideshow off. And thanks for coming, guys.